Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast with Ron and Kristin, where leadership meets entertainment. This podcast features stories with names and certain aspects that have been changed to keep submissions private. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Dirty Side of Leadership podcast, where leadership meets entertainment. I'm your co-host, Kristin Sokoloff, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ronnie Ward. Ron, how's it going today?
Kristin, it's going great. I guess you noticed my tan.
Yeah. Offline, I did recognize that.
I've been in Florida, St. Augustine. What a beautiful historic city.
Yes.
Had a great time. Did a little run on the beach.
I love that. Were you barefoot?
Thought I was David Hasselhoff.
You made me spit on myself.
Yeah, my calves got a little sore. I hadn't run barefoot, in quite a while. So yeah,
it's wild when your toes are free like that, running on the sand. It will work your calves like no other.
I think there's a country song there, something about your toes being free.
Probably.
Kristin, now here's the unique part.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, this is really cool. We are going to be talking about the rise and fall of Spirit Airlines, and we're going to learn some leadership lessons. So one morning, I'm at a bed and breakfast, having breakfast, start talking to this couple, and they started telling us that their daughter was down there looking for jobs in Florida with airline companies. The conversation continued. They said, yeah, out of the blue one evening, she gets a text from Spirit Airlines that basically says, the company, has gone solvent or whatever you call it, and you don't have a job. She had no one to refer to, no HR, no nothing. There was no severance pay.
That's insane.
I've never heard of, that is just crazy. So it did, you and I had already discussed this issue, but it further inspired me. I couldn't wait to tell you that. It's just to feel the weight of these parents. And she was struggling getting another job because, in all honesty, you're probably not as respected with Spirit Airlines as you would have been if she had been laid off from Delta or something. So
Right. No, that's true. Yeah, no, I think it's a great topic for us to break down. There's definitely the dirty side. They went belly up overnight, but there was writing on the wall. We're going to dive into that a bit. And, they were at one point considered a disruptor in the airline industry. And that's what makes this story so fascinating is Spirit was not a struggling company from the beginning. For years, they were growing, they were profitable, and they were changing the airline industry. And, we've seen reels online, Rod, whether people either loved Spirit or they hated Spirit. I didn't see much middle ground.
Yeah, there were some brutal memes about Spirit. And Kristin, I actually used Spirit once. I flew out of Myrtle Beach with my daughter and grandson. We flew to Fort Lauderdale. It was a direct flight, very cheap. I'm thinking it was $99. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad, really. Of course, I'm worrying a little bit, or my daughter was, about the plane malfunctioning or something.
Yeah.
But because I'd watched all those memes. But folks, I know
no one wanted to fight you on the plane.
No, I do see some of those people fighting in the airports. I'm like, what the heck? So here's the thing. I know that a airline company is huge, but folks, you want to stay with us. There's lessons on any size company or business that you can take from this. And I think this is something that we definitely need to dissect.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, to your point, everyone should be paying attention to this episode because it happens in business, government agencies, nonprofits, and even personal careers.
Yeah, it's true. So
want to get into it?
Yeah, introduce segment one.
All right, let's talk about the Spirit Airlines model. Ron, tell us, what made Spirit successful in the beginning?
They figured out, that's true. They figured out something that many airlines ignored. A large group of travelers simply wanted the cheapest possible seat from point A to point B. In other words, I think a lot of airlines were trying to outdo each other with a little more comfort, especially post-COVID. They're trying to say, well, we've got this, and you can get advanced seatings, and you can get all of this stuff. And they said, forget all that. Just get us there. And
some bare bones.
Now, keep in mind, that does bring a certain clientele that maybe hadn't flown much in the past. So
yes,
you got to be ready. We'll get there.
Yes, we will. So it was No luxury, no extras, strictly transportation.
Yeah, and they stripped away almost everything. So most people are trying to bring just everything in a carry-on because the check
Mm-hmm.
bags would cost a little extra, seat selection, all of that stuff that always cost extra in other airlines. They just stripped away everything. Just
The
come as you are.
pretzels.
Come as you are. No pretzels, no nothing.
I mean, yeah, people joked that Spirit charged you for breathing. I mean, it was one of those things. It might be a $99 flight, but you're going to be nickel and dimed throughout. But there were people that were able to make it work for them.
Yeah, and Chris and I may have misspoke earlier. They stripped everything away, but you could pay for those
Yeah,
extras.
yeah.
Um, and listen, no matter what people say, I'm going to use a great pun here, Kristen. For a while, it took off. You're welcome.
Oh, pun master. Oh my gosh. So this is what, it took off. Millions of people bought tickets, and that's what leaders often miss. So the strategy itself worked, and it worked incredibly well. For a while, Spirit was one of the most profitable airlines in America. Wall Street loved it. Customers kept buying, routes kept expanding.
Because they found a market that larger airlines weren't serving effectively.
Yeah, exactly. And here's what stands out to me. Spirit became known for being cheap, right? Not necessarily for being good.
Exactly. And that's where the trouble starts. There's a difference
Hmm.
between being known for value and being known for low price.
Yeah, I mean, like a perfect example is Walmart, right? So you have low price, but then you have the people of Walmart. So much so that there's entire websites dedicated to it. There's people of Walmart books that are actually selling in like Barnes and Noble. So like it does bring in a certain clientele. And going back, value, you could argue though, value is going to create loyalty to the price, I would say, not the brand. And then price will create transactions. So the model was working.
Yeah. And you speak of value, Kristen, it is approximately 35% of people will buy from you a second time. In other
Mm,
words, you've got a one-third chance better of selling to your same customers or upselling than you do finding new customers. So
yeah,
value
I
is
could see
important.
that.
So once people flew Spirit, they're like, "Hey, I'm in."
Yeah,
So people weren't loyal to Spirit because they loved the brand; they were loyal to the fare,
right.
and
And yeah.
that's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. You read my mind, Ron. So, okay, let's talk about the race to the bottom here. So, eventually, the larger airlines started paying attention.
Yeah, they did. Delta, United American, they all introduced versions of basic economy fares.
Even Alaska, which is what I primarily fly, there are value fares as well, and that's a great airline. So, which, was essentially saying if customers want cheap options, we can do that too.
Yeah, and they proved that that market existed. I mean, the numbers spoke for themselves. So the
Hmm.
larger carriers simply adapted.
Yeah, they sure did. And suddenly customers could get similar pricing from airlines with stronger brands. Like I mentioned, Alaska, the very strong brand, larger route systems, and better loyalty programs. A lot of those are the reward programs.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the biggest leadership lessons in this story. If your strategy can be easily copied, it's not really a long
Hmm.
term strategy, it's a temporary advantage.
That's powerful right there. It's almost like Spirit taught its competitors how to compete against them.
That's a great observation. They
Yeah.
showed the industry that consumers would buy stripped down fares. Then the larger airlines adopted portions of the model without inheriting Spirit's reputation, because
Yeah.
Spirit really had been trashed on late night show, everything.
Oh, yeah.
So they did have to overcome a lot of obstacles. But the other airlines, by just scaling down a little bit, they didn't lose their reputation.
Right, exactly. So now we're at a place where customers had options.
Exactly. And once they have options, trust becomes more important than price.
Yeah. I mean, that's true in every business.
Yeah. And whether you're coach, consultant, supervisor, or CEO, if your only differentiator is price,
Hmm.
somebody will eventually undercut you.
Absolutely. And so that brings us to the brand problem. So let's talk about reputation a little further. Spirit's reputation became part of the story for sure.
Yeah, it did. And some of the criticism was fair, some wasn't, but perception eventually became reality, which we've said on many other
Oh, yeah.
episodes, Kristen.
Absolutely. And social media, as we've already touched on, amplified everything. What do we see going around right now? Since Spirit's not going around right now, we see different or not airlines, different cruise ships, right? We're seeing all of that. And so that's going to hurt. Well, that'll be our next episode, Ron. It'll be like
Yeah.
Carnival Cruises has gone under or something. But social media amplified all of the negatives. One bad experience suddenly became thousands, if not millions, of comments.
Yeah, that's right. Customers often felt surprised by fees, others felt
Mm,
frustrated by delays, and every negative experience became highly visible. Like, people have social media themselves. So if you're sitting in an airport, you're waiting on a flight, you're going to start posting. It's just the
yeah.
world we live in, and you better
Yeah.
get those loyal posters instead of people who are angry. Doesn't
Yeah,
work well.
exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, once reputation starts moving in a negative direction, every mistake is going to be magnified.
It's true. Leaders often underestimate how valuable trust really is. And you mentioned
Hmm.
Walmart, and I follow this guy only because he's so fun. But he would go in Walmarts and dance, and
Okay.
you might have seen him.
I think I have. Yeah.
He wears white glasses, African American guy,
Yeah.
but he brings joy with him, and
Yeah.
I
He does
love.
Michael Jackson dances, right?
No,
Or
he's
else.
got his own. He's got his own style. I mean, he may
Oh,
copy
okay.
Michael a little, but he goes up to
Yeah.
people, and some people will just start dancing. I love people like that. I'm not like that, but I love people who will just start dancing. But he began to frequent Walmart a lot. Well,
Hmm.
Walmart begins to see, wait a minute, some people go, get out. You can't bring a loudspeaker in and dance in the store.
Hmm.
That would be the way some places would respond. But guess what?
Right.
I saw he was performing in a Walmart. They've realized that this guy's bringing this joy and people love him. So now he only dances. I've only seen him in Walmarts lately.
Oh, that's funny. They probably have a contract behind the scenes.
Well, they may have, but if they didn't, they were smart enough to see that this is
Yeah.
something good and people are posting and he's got 1 million followers, over 1 million. So that's how leaders should think. Like,
Yeah.
what's the big picture here? Maybe I just did a post, by the way, on all the different decisions and the biases that we do. So
Yeah.
if you get a chance, Kristen, check that out. What's your name? Okay,
Love it.
so leaders often underestimate how valuable trust really
Oh,
is.
yeah.
You can survive operational mistakes, you can survive market changes, but what becomes difficult to survive is damaged reputation. I tell everyone it
Yeah.
takes at least a year to rebrand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because people stop giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, they do. When that happens, even your successes get overlooked.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen that in the workplace before. So this isn't, or it wasn't just an operational problem. It became a full-blown trust problem.
Yeah. And you've already said it, but trust is the most valuable
Hmm.
asset that an organization possesses. Kristen,
Yeah.
introduce segment 4 because you
Yeah.
brought this to the table and I thought it was very interesting. It was a great catch. We did a little more research.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, thank you for for that. This is the JetBlue lifeline. And I think it's important. This is really where it gets juicy. And this is where the leadership gets extra dirty. So basically what happened was people were viewing Spirit's potential lifeline. There was a proposed merger with JetBlue that we're going to jump into now.
Yeah, in many industry leaders believe that this merger offered Spirit a path forward and would
Hmm.
keep them from going bankrupt, basically. JetBlue would gain additional routes and aircraft, so it was going to be good for
Yeah.
both airlines. Spirit
Yeah.
would gain financial support and operational stability.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is in our research, we found, and I knew a little bit about this before, but not everybody agreed that the merger was a good idea.
Yeah, that's right. And one of the most vocal opponents was Senator Elizabeth Warren. She publicly urged regulators to closely scrutinize the merger, arguing that removing Spirit as an independent, ultra low cost carrier could reduce competition and increase price for customers. Now, the interesting part of that, Kristen, is the other airlines were already copying Spirit
Mm-hmm.
and they already had the low seat. So I think she
Yeah.
was grandstanding. I don't think
Yeah.
there was anything more to it.
Yeah, that's the the dirty side of politics there. And later some people blamed Warren. I've seen it online for blocking the merger, as they should, based on what we've found through our research.
Yeah, and because we do research, Elizabeth Warren did not have the authority to stop the merger itself, but she was certainly
Mm-hmm.
using whatever influence she had to be a prominent critic.
Yeah.
And the decision ultimately belonged to the regulators and the courts. And then back during the Biden administration, they blocked it, and
Yeah.
it was not allowed to happen. So all of these people, you can act, you can grandstand and claim you're for the little people, but now all these people lost the jobs, and the people you're supposedly for lost an airline.
Yeah.
Sometimes people can't see the forest for the trees, Kristen.
Oh, it's so true. And so what happened was, the US Department of Justice, and believe me, they are tainted by politics as well. They challenged the merger on antitrust grounds. You can go look into this yourselves. And then in January of 24, a federal judge agreed and blocked the acquisition. And the court concluded that eliminating Spirit as an independent low cost carrier would likely reduce competition and increase prices. But we've also seen where she's talking about, as she uses the term, marginalized communities would lose access to flight or travel, air travel in general. So we can all read between the lines on what she was saying there.
Yeah, I mean, that's nothing new. That argument
Yeah.
is nothing
Yeah.
new.
Yeah. And they were both saying that we're protecting customers, but look where we're at now is customers no longer have that as an option.
You were protecting votes, and look what it did.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
supporters believe the merger would save jobs and strengthen the company, which obviously it would have. It's hard to argue that it would not have. But opponents believe keeping Spirit independent would preserve competition. And again, it went
Hmm.
belly up. So here we
Yeah,
are.
and exactly. I mean, that's where leadership gets complicated. Sometimes, there isn't a perfect answer, but I sure hope everyone involved is reflecting on how they got here.
Yeah, and it's so important. And this is one time I'm really going to push a post that I did because it is on decision making. And leaders often make decisions with incomplete information. I always make this joke.
Hmm.
Chris and I use the Merrill Reed personality characteristics. You have expressive people, drivers, amiable, and then you have analytical. So I do this joke.
Yeah,
I say, if you want to go to the moon, you get your driver and you say, I want you to lead a team, build a rocket, take us to the moon. And man,
that's you and I.
they're all they're all in. Then you get your
Yeah,
expressive people to raise money, do your social media, all that because they're expressive. And then I go, your amiable people, they're going to build it. They're your hard
yeah,
workers. They're your worker bees. They just want you to pat them on the back occasionally. And I always intentionally leave off analytical. So, and I know the analyticals are going, hey, what about us?
yeah,
So
yeah.
then I do a long pause and then I point with my pointer and I go, but if you want to get back to earth, and then I point at the analytical people and it gets a good laugh.
Yeah,
So
hey, and they love it.
yeah, and sometimes you need those analytical thinkers, those number crunches, those people that look and say, "Hey, you know, this is going to go under if this doesn't happen." So
Well,
both sides
exactly.
both sides thought they were operating, I guess, in the public interest, but
Yeah.
what a mistake.
I know. And regardless of the merger debate, Spirit still faced a larger problem.
Yeah, it did. Even if the merger had gone through, Spirit still had to answer a difficult question. How do you build a sustainable organization when your primary
Hmm.
competitive advantage is being the cheapest option available? So it wasn't a
Yeah.
perfect route, but a lot of people
No.
believe that JetBlue, the merger could have rescued it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I even flew. Have you ever flown JetBlue?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when I did long distance with Dave and I was flying to New York City every month, it was perfect. I would do the red eye. It was $100 each way. So JetBlue was also quite affordable, but they were one of the first ones to have the TV screens in the back of the seat in front of them. And so that was huge too. So it's interesting. They would have been a great marriage based on what I know about the two airlines. And, what you talked about in the very beginning of this episode, Ron, and that's that personal piece where you met parents whose daughter had just recently lost her job and she's devastated. And naturally they're upset for her, right? Because that's their baby. And so there's the human cost, and that's the segment we're getting into now. And one thing that often gets lost in stories like this is that human impact. And I'm really glad you started with it.
It happens all the time. And
Yeah.
the only thing usually the headlines are is the stock plummet, investors, executives, what does this do for the markets? And you do not hear about people like her. And by the way, she had just gotten engaged and really enjoyed being a flight attendant. That's the thing. People go, well, just get another job. Well, she loved that job. She liked being a flight
Yeah.
attendant, and that's what she wants to do. She
Yeah.
had 15 years of overall experience. But when Spirit failed, they flooded the market, and you got to be in one of the hubs.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just be in a different city. You got to be in one
Yeah.
of the hub cities. So it wasn't easy for her to just jump back up. And again, we just don't see that part of it. And I'm glad we're bringing some attention to it.
Exactly. Because like I haven't heard a lot about the pilots. We're talking about a flight attendant, right? Customer service representatives, maintenance personnel. I mean, that's a ton of people that have been impacted. And to your point, there's the families, their communities, and people who had no role in creating the strategy, but now they're impacted by the failure of the strategy.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Not to be overly dramatic, but I could tell these parents were hurting because they're on vacation.
Yeah.
They had just got off the phone with their daughter.
Well, yeah.
So, it's just human nature. Leadership decisions eventually impact real people. You may be in a boardroom today, but eventually it's going to trickle down. And that's why leadership matters. It's not theoretical, it's personal. And if you forget that, you're going to fail eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, for some, it's easy to forget when we're talking about spreadsheets and business models.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Behind every business decisions is a human story. And Kristin, I'll tell you this, we certify executive coaches, and there's some executive coaches were still needing more help getting clients and so forth. So I took the last 2 weeks and I had some other stuff, but I met with either virtually or in person with people that trusted me to coach them and help them build a business plan that was a little different than it was a few months ago. And we're already seeing progress from that, but I don't get paid for that. It's because I valued the journey we went on and I want them to be successful. So I made myself available to them. And that part just sickens me when I see companies, and I work for the government, and believe me, you might think you're the star, but the minute you're gone, they're going to move right on without you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen to me, right? Like that is a real thing. Ron, why don't you share a dirty lesson with us today?
Let's do it. A merger can save a company, but it cannot save a flawed strategy.
Very true.
Spirit's biggest challenge wasn't the blocked merger. Its biggest challenge was competitors learned how to offer similar prices while maintaining stronger brands, broader networks, and greater customer trust. And we've said that before. And that undermines, by the way, the argument from Senator Warren and others, because, again, it literally showed that other airlines were just as cheap or getting that way. So it undermined her argument. This is a travesty.
Do you ever reflect, Ron? I've had Verizon, let's just say, for 25 years. Same phone number, same carrier. And believe me, I've had other people try to offer. Every time I go into the grocery store, there's an AT&T person there trying to get me to switch over, right? And for me, $5, saving $10 a month is not worth losing that 25-year longevity. Every time I call Verizon, they are recognizing that I'm a longtime customer and they're thanking me for that. So, that does go somewhere. So, and not only the recognition, but I have trust in them because when I've needed them, I had to call yesterday for Dave's phone because it wasn't working. And I was I trusted them because they were able to fix the problem and the customer service was great. They answered within 5 minutes, right? So all of that goes a long way. And when you don't have that, then customers are going to just look at price, right? And that's why I'm not able to be bought, at least now, because I have this longevity. The trust is built and it doesn't make sense to go elsewhere.
Kristin, I'm so glad you said that. That is a great approach, and I'm going to give you, folks. This is why I'm here for Kristin and you all. Kristin, if you call them up and go, someone's offering me a better plan. What's your retention package this month? They
Yeah,
have secret things to keep you.
totally.
I used to have a neighbor who was like this really wise neighbor, and he'd go, "Hey, you need to call Verizon. They've got this deal running to keep you on as a customer."
Yeah,
So I
I
did
love
the
that.
opposite. A lot of people don't know Geico used to be the government insurance company, and they went public, or mainstream, and they raised I'd been with them like 20 years, and I called them and told them, I showed them what I was getting offered. They
Yeah.
wouldn't budge, and I said, 20 years I've
Wow.
been with you. So I changed insurance. I went with State Farm. They offered me a better deal.
Yeah.
Everything
Hey.
lined up. So, but the
Yeah.
point is that I was more insulted. I didn't have this, like maybe you have with Verizon. I did
Mm-hmm.
not have that feeling with Geico. It was just, I'm
Yeah.
looking for rates on insurance. And
Yeah. Sounds like they weren't recognizing your longevity and they didn't appreciate you. At least the way their model is set up, it's not set up to appreciate and acknowledge the longevity, which is a very poor decision. And I know Geico generally has some of the cheaper rates, at least that's how they started, right? They were like pretty cheap compared to their competitors. But it sounds like that might not be the case.
15% or less. I mean, I had it memorized.
Yeah.
I even
Yeah.
said that. Where's the 15% or less?
Yeah. Wow.
After a good cry, I
You said goodbye.
I said
You
goodbye.
parted ways.
It's like a breakup.
Oh my gosh.
Take us
So,
home, Kristin.
yeah, I mean, what we're just talking about now, maybe it's a little different with insurance, right? But the goal isn't always, at least when going back to Spirit, it's not always about being the cheapest. Like I said, I fly Alaska. Alaska is not the cheapest, but they're always on time. I trust them, right? Like, um, there's a lot of reasons that's what I fly. There's also a little nostalgia built in because that's what I've flown my
Yeah.
entire life, right? And that goes back to trust. And anxiety is the fear of the unknown, right, Ron? So that's another reason a lot of people don't want to go and travel on the unknown. They're going to stick with what they know. So, like someone like me, I'm not going to go, I wouldn't have gone for a Spirit because Alaska started offering some cheaper rates. So I didn't have to, right? So it's, yeah. So their longevity was not there. The long game, the short game was great for them. So the goal shouldn't be to be the cheapest. It should be the one worth choosing.
Yeah. And whether you're a solopreneur or you're a CEO, this is so important. Strong organizations compete on trust. They compete on reliability. They compete on relationships. They compete on value. They compete on customer experience, because when the market changes, those assets will endure. These other things are
Yeah.
going to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why this story isn't just about an airline. It's about every organization trying to determine what truly makes it valuable.
Yeah, that's right. It's just a great reminder that winning on price alone can become a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I decided I'm not going to use any puns, any crash puns, because it wouldn't be appropriate. But I had a lot running through my head.
Oh, well, yeah. I know. My mind went there too. But and that's a race, the race to the bottom, that's a race that's hard to win and even harder to sustain.
Yeah. I think there's a powerful lesson here to any business, no matter what you're doing. Please remember that Spirit Airlines I was trying to do a great pun on the ending. They could have reached great altitudes. Can you hum America the Beautiful in the background? They could have reached they could have reached great altitudes. But
Oh my gosh.
now they're gone. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to all those used planes. If you know, please let us know. Kristin she's getting so big, she might want to buy one.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? No, that's wild. I'm sure some new or some existing company has already got them rewrapped with their logo. But this has been a powerful lesson for leaders in every industry.
Yeah, folks, and we really appreciate you all. We have not declined at all in the summer months. We are continuing to grow. We are so grateful.
Yeah.
And this is an independent podcast, which means that, we don't have some big network helping us, and we're still growing, competing with the big guys. And I think that there's a bright future. I hope we'll be making some unique announcements soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the reasons I'm glad you brought up the independent podcast, once you are signed with a company, they are basically dictating what you can and cannot say, right? And so it's really nice for us to have this autonomy. And so we depend on you guys for sharing, subscribing, and even getting in touch with us. I've had many of you reach out to me on Instagram and suggest podcast episode topics, which we absolutely love. So thank you so much. We couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, we love independence, but forget what Kristin said. I'm willing to negotiate.
Ron will sell his soul for the right cost.
Give me a call.
Oh my gosh. I love
All right,
that.
everyone. Thanks so much. Be the leader you're meant to be.
We'll see you next week.
The Dirty Side of Leadership podcast is brought to you by Forward Operations. If you'd like to book Ron or Kristin for speaking events, training, or executive coaching, visit forwardoperations.com. Be the leader you're meant to be.